everyone! So for today's card I wanted to play with one of my new to me stencils and my distress inks. So I got out my CC Designs 110 pound Copic quality cardstock and trimmed it down to I think 4 inches by 5¼ Yeah. So I taped it down to my craft sheet, and then I'm using the Tim Holtz chevron stencil and taped it down and masked off just the largest central area of it. And then I'm just picking up 3 different colors of distress ink with my little mini ink blending tools and just kind of swirling it onto the cardstock and blending them into each other. So I'm using Evergreen Bough, Salty Ocean, and Pumice Stone. And yeah, not being too perfect with it, just kind of letting the colors blend, purposely letting them kind of fade out on each end there of the cardstock. So then once I was happy with that, I'm going to peel off the stencil, which is always the funnest part. And then I'm going to flip it around and use the smaller chevron in the set. So I've got to peel off that little bit of tape that's holding down the bottom so that it doesn't cover what the stencil is going over. And then again, mask off the bottom part of the stencil and then the top. And then I'm going to grab my silver Faro paste. And you always want to try and keep that little insert part there. This stuff dries out in the jar really, really easily. So even the top little blob there is completely dried out. So I just kind of dig past it and grab some fresh paste and then apply it with one of my little spatulas. This Faro's it's kind of got like a sandy, gritty texture to it. It's really neat. I don't have any of the other colors of Faro yet, but I assume they're all like very similar to this. So it's kind of a different texture. Really, yeah, like really grainy, almost like it's really sandy. So just kind of scrape it on and then peel it off, and then I immediately take my stencil and my spatula and wash them off. This stuff like sticks. There's still a bit of residue left on the stencil that you can see here. That's fine. But yeah, you definitely want to clean everything immediately after using this stuff. Put the lid on it and then go on to everything else. So I had cleaned my stencil, and then I grabbed my card base and opened it up, and on the inside just did the exact same thing with the sponge distress inks, just for that little bit of continuity. So I sponged those on and kind of blended them together. And now I'm going to go back and finish the outside of the card. So I've got a sentiment. This is from my new More Scripted Sentiment set. There's actually 2 separate sets. There's a Scripted Sentiments, and then this is the More Scripted Sentiments. And they've got these big texty words, which like in a brush script font, which is super popular right now. So I'm so excited to finally have these sets, and yeah, I'll be doing quite a bit more with them over the coming weeks. So for this one I chose the Thank You from the set, and you can see it's quite large. On a standard A2 size card you can just see how big it is. So I inked it up with Hero Art's black ink and stamped it over the chevron, and then I grabbed some Doodlebug. These are the Silver Arrows assortment sprinkles, and I just applied 3 of them to kind of point down to the thank you. And then of course foam tape as always, so apply that to the back of the piece so that I can pop that up onto my card. And this makes a great kind of masculine card. That's kind of what I was thinking here, is even though I'm tempted to do like pinks and oranges and purples, just doing something in more masculine colors works perfectly for something like this. And I think you can get away with that little bit of sparkle in those enamel dots. So while I was making the card, my brain started spinning, and I started thinking of other ideas to use these colors and this stamp. So I just grabbed another piece of white cardstock that's 4 1/4, well 8.5 by 5.5, and then scored at 4 1/4. So again, the standard A2 size. So scored that just so I could see where the kind of main card area was going to be. And then I'm just going to ink up the thank you stamp again with those same distress inks. And I'm going to stamp them and then stamp them again without re-inking them along the bottom area of the cardstock. So again, yeah, I'm using the Evergreen Bough, the Salty Ocean, and the Pumice Stone inks. And then I just wipe them off with a baby wipe between colors. And then I always rub my hand against it just so there's no extra moisture on the stamp. And over some scrap paper so that I'm not getting ink all over my craft surface, because I have a really bad habit of smearing ink everywhere. So some of them I re-inked and then stamped off once before stamping onto the cardstock. So I've got all these different shades of ink saying thank you. And then finally I inked it up again with the same Hero Arts black ink. And I'm just going to stamp that slightly over the Pumice Stone one so that it just pops a little bit more. and you can just see how it just finishes it off there, so you can really see the thank you. And then on the inside of the card, I just grabbed the little mini ink blending tools again and sponged the colors along the bottom. I was going to leave it at that, but I didn't like how they looked with just the colors kind of floating there. That, and because these are brand new sponge daubers, like mini ink blending foams, they need a little bit more time to kind of absorb the ink and not be so harsh, if that makes any sense. So anyway, I wasn't happy with it. So all I did was just grab the chevron stencil again and then taped off the smallest chevron, and then just grabbed the black soot distress ink and sponged that on, and then I was really happy with it. So that's all it was. So as always, there will be a link below the video to my blog post and links to all the supplies used. Thank you guys so much for watching and thumbs upping and subscribing, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye!